Hey there. Wanted to take some time today to talk to you a bit about a curious insect pest that I've run across a number of times in the last few years. And it's a curiosity, it's not a major plant problem or anything. It's really just causing aesthetic and minor damage to willows. Well, what's interesting about this pest is that it causes a distortion of the growing point, or a distortion of the point where the egg is laid and the larva develop, that looks like a pine cone. So when you're walking along and all of a sudden you see a pine cone just sort of sitting there, or a pine cone like object sitting there on a branch, and you look at it and go, well, that's not a pine tree or a conifer, that is a willow or a broadleaf plant. So it's really fascinating, and you can see from these pictures it shows up either on the growing point to the tip of a branch, or it'll also show up in sort of an axillary bud. But it's just fascinating. So I've taken time to pick these things apart because I was really interested to see what was the cause of it. But anyways, the insect itself is a small two-winged fly called a midge. And the common name for this pest is the willow pine cone gall midge, because it forms a gall that looks like a pine cone on a willow, and it's caused by midge. So, I don't know, entomologists are pretty simple that way. But anyway, so what happens is this little midge comes out, and it males and females find each other, they mate, and the females lay an egg, a single egg on the leaves. As the leaves are starting to flush is when the insects show up. And what happens is the little orange colored larvae emerge from the eggs, and they move towards the developing branch tips or the developing growing points. So they're laid in a place, and then they move over to where they're going to be. And those larvae then bore into the base of the leaves, into the cavity of the growing point, and this stimulates the formation of a hard pine cone-like gall. It's amazing. So you can see here I've got pictures of a branch that has it on the terminal point. It also shows up on, like I said, on the axils, sort of in the secondary growing points. And you look at this and you think, well, that looks kind of tender and soft, but actually as you pick it apart, it's very hard. All of these scale layers are basically woody, but when you get all the way down to the point, right at the base, inside there'll be this little grain of rice sized larva. And those larvae stay in there protected all season long. They eventually emerge in September. In some cases, they may overwinter. Does it cause big issues for the plant? No, it's cosmetic. It really doesn't do anything. And does it cause any major issues for anyone? No, it's just interesting. But it is a curiosity to find and see. If you want to manage it, you just remove the galls prior to the larva emerging, and that'll stop the life cycle essentially. I mean, it might take a while to get rid of them, but if you clean it up, pretty easy. So anyways, it was just an interesting thing that I thought you might find curious to learn about.